Ladies and gentlemen, I stand before you today with a simple yet powerful truth. There comes a time in every person's life when they have to make a choice, whether to be present in every moment or to rise above and let others understand the true value of your presence. You see, the key to understanding your own value isn't about showing up all the time, giving everything you've got, or being everywhere people expect you to be. No, the secret is in your absence. Let them miss you. Let them realize that your time, your energy, your spirit is not something to be taken for granted. When you take a step back, when you leave space for others to think about what you bring to the table, you elevate your worth. Presence is a gift, not an obligation. This simple statement carries a profound truth that many of us often overlook in the hustle and bustle of daily life. In a world that constantly demands our time, attention, and energy, we tend to fall into the trap of believing that we must be everywhere, do everything, and be available at all times to prove our value. But in reality, presence isn't about being physically there for every moment. It's about showing up in a way that matters, in a way that makes an impact. Think about it for a second. How many times have you found yourself at an event, in a conversation, or at work, feeling like you're just going through the motions? You're present, but your heart and mind aren't fully engaged. The act of showing up can easily become an obligation when you're just fulfilling what's expected of you without genuinely investing in the moment. We have all been there, stuck in situations where our body is physically present, but our mind is miles away, focused on the next task or worry. But true presence isn't about ticking off a box or meeting an expectation. It's about offering your full attention, your energy, and your authenticity to the moment and to the people around you. When you truly understand that presence is a gift, it changes everything. It shifts the way you approach your relationships, your career, and your daily life. Think about how much more meaningful your connections can be when you're fully present, when your time and energy aren't just automatic responses to obligations, but conscious choices to engage and contribute. Your presence becomes a precious commodity, something that others appreciate and value deeply. And the best part is, this value is not something you have to fight for or constantly prove. It simply grows when you realize that your presence has power. It's not something to be taken for granted. The problem arises when we start treating our presence as something expected. We say yes to every request, show up to every meeting, attend every social gathering, and keep ourselves busy just for the sake of being busy. We start to lose sight of why we are there in the first place. The true meaning of presence gets blurred when we're simply going through the motions. In doing so, we may even begin to resent the obligations that we've created for ourselves, robbing ourselves of the joy and fulfillment that true presence can offer. The gift of presence means that you are intentionally offering your time and energy in ways that are meaningful, not out of duty, but out of desire. You choose to be there because you know that the moment matters, that the people around you matter, and that you have something valuable to contribute. When you approach every moment with the mindset that your presence is a gift, it allows you to truly show up in a way that's authentic, thoughtful, and impactful. Your presence, when offered genuinely, is a reflection of your respect for others and for yourself. It shows that you value what's happening around you, that you're willing to be part of something bigger than yourself. And as you recognize the value of your own presence, you start to realize that your time and energy should not be taken lightly. You become more discerning in where you choose to invest yourself. The moments you share with others become more meaningful because you are not just filling space, you are adding real value. When you stop seeing your presence as an obligation and start seeing it as a gift, you not only elevate your own experience of life, but you also elevate the lives of those around you. You give them the gift of truly connecting with you, of experiencing the fullness of your attention, your energy, and your unique perspective. People appreciate the depth of your presence because they know it's not something you take for granted. You are offering them something rare and precious. So, the next time you find yourself about to go through the motions of an obligation, take a step back. Ask yourself, am I truly present here? Am I offering my full self to this moment, to these people, or am I just fulfilling an expectation? And remember, the greatest gift you can give to anyone is your authentic, undistracted presence. Make your absence felt. It's a simple phrase, but it carries a powerful lesson that many of us overlook in the pursuit of always being present. In a world that constantly demands our attention and time, we can often get caught up in the idea that we must be available all the time in order to matter. We think we need to show up for every meeting, every event, every conversation, and every social gathering in order to prove our value and to avoid being forgotten or left behind. Amen? Told you. But what if I told you that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is to step back and allow your absence to be noticed? When we talk about making your absence felt, we're not suggesting that you withdraw from your responsibilities or abandon the people who matter to you. What we're talking about is understanding the power of stepping away, of giving others space to recognize just how valuable your presence really is. In a sense, absence is the ultimate test of your worth. When you step back, do others feel your absence in a meaningful way? No, we have to talk to each other as we don't know. Do they notice the void that you leave behind? Or do they simply move on with their lives as if you were never there? Making your absence felt doesn't mean disappearing for the sake of drama or manipulation. It's about creating a sense of importance around your presence by choosing when and where to engage. Sometimes, when you step away, you create the space for others to appreciate what you offer. In a way, your absence is a reminder of your significance. It's a subtle way of showing that you are not to be taken for granted, that your time, energy, and contributions are valuable. When you're always available, when you're constantly giving, it's easy for people to start assuming that you'll always be there no matter what. But when you step back, even for a short time, it forces them to reckon with the fact that they can't always count on you being present. And in that moment of absence, they begin to see the true value of your presence. Think about it. Have you ever had someone in your life who was always around, always available, always giving of themselves? At first, it feels great, right? You appreciate their presence and their support. But over time, it can become easy to take them for granted. You begin to expect them to always be there, to show up on command, and to do whatever it takes to meet your needs. But when that person steps back, even for just a short while, it's a wake-up call. Suddenly you realize how much they were doing for you, how much they were giving, and how much you appreciated their presence. In that absence, you recognize the importance of what they brought to your life. It's the same with your own life. You can't always be available to everyone, and you shouldn't have to be. By making your absence felt, you teach others to respect your time and energy. You teach them that your presence is something to be valued and that it shouldn't be taken for granted. People need to understand that when you show up, you're there with intention, with purpose, and with value. But when you choose to step back, you create a space for them to recognize what they've been receiving from you all along. You force them to pay attention, to reflect on your contributions, and to realize that your absence is something that matters. Making your absence felt also allows you to preserve your own energy. When you're constantly available, constantly engaged, you risk burning out, losing your sense of self, and feeling depleted. By stepping away from time to time, you give yourself the opportunity to recharge, reflect, and grow. And when you do return, you return stronger, more focused, and more engaged than ever before. Your absence, in a sense, makes you more valuable because you come back with a renewed sense of purpose and a greater ability to contribute. In life, balance is key. While it's important to show up for others and to be there when needed, it's equally important to know when to step back and allow others to recognize the value of your presence. By making your absence felt, you give yourself the space to grow, to preserve your energy, and to ensure that when you do show up, your presence is powerful, meaningful, and appreciated. So don't be afraid to step back from time to time. Allow people to miss you, to reflect on the impact you have made, and to recognize just how much your presence truly matters. Your time is precious. Don't waste it. This simple yet powerful truth is one that many of us tend to forget, especially when life starts to move at a pace that feels out of our control. We live in a world full of distractions, obligations, and endless demands on our time. We often find ourselves overwhelmed by the never-ending to-do lists, the pressure to meet expectations, and the constant pull to be everywhere and do everything. But in the midst of all of this, we must pause and remember one fundamental fact. Time is the one resource we can never get back. Once it's gone forever. And when we waste it, we're not just losing time, we're losing pieces of our potential, our growth, and our ability to live a life that truly matters. Think about how easy it is to get caught up in the day-to-day grind. It's so tempting to give in to the demands of others, to follow the crowds, and to let the minutes and hours slip by without being mindful of how we're spending them. But when we do this, we're allowing the clock to run on autopilot. And before we know it, months, even years, can go by without us truly reflecting on how we've used our time. Have you ever looked back on a period of your life and wondered where all the time went? Maybe you've had moments where you felt like you were busy, but when you take a closer look, you realize you weren't making progress in the ways that truly matter. This is what happens when we don't value our time. We end up filling it with distractions, with things that don't serve our higher purpose or contribute to our growth. Every moment of your life is an opportunity to move closer to the person you want to be, to make an impact on the world around you, and to live in alignment with your values. But this requires a conscious decision to protect your time and use it wisely. It's not enough to simply stay busy. What matters is how we spend our time, who we spend it with, and what we're choosing to focus on. Time spent in the pursuit of things that don't bring us fulfillment, don't align with our goals, or don't help us grow is time wasted. Time spent on people or activities that drain us, distract us, or hold us back is time that we'll never get back. And the sad reality is that most people spend much of their time this way, either by default or by not recognizing the value of their own time. The truth is, we often treat our time as if we have an unlimited supply. We tell ourselves that we'll get to the important things later, that we have all the time in the world to make changes, to chase our dreams, or to focus on what really matters. But the reality is that time waits for no one. The moments that slip away today can never be reclaimed tomorrow. That's why it's so crucial to take ownership of our time now. We must make deliberate choices about where we invest it, who we spend it with, and what we are doing with it. Time is a finite resource, and the more we recognize its value, the more intentional and purposeful we can be with it. One of the keys to making the most of your time is learning how to set boundaries. In a world that constantly pulls at us from every direction, it's easy to let others dictate how we spend our time. But you have the power to decide what's important to you and what isn't. Saying no to things that don't align with your goals or values is one of the most powerful ways to protect your time. It's not about being selfish. It's about being responsible with your most precious resource. By protecting your time, you're making space for the things that truly matter, whether it's pursuing your passions, investing in relationships that lift you up, or creating the life you truly want to live. Another important aspect of valuing your time is understanding the difference between being busy and being productive. Being busy might give you the illusion that you're accomplishing something, but it's easy to mistake activity for progress. Productivity, on the other hand, is about focused, intentional action toward your goals. It's about making each moment count, even if that means stepping back and reflecting, taking time to recharge, or saying no to distractions. Productivity isn't just about doing more, it's about doing what matters. At the end of the day, the quality of your life is shaped by how you spend your time. If you spend it on things that don't fulfill you or contribute to your growth, you'll find yourself feeling empty, drained, and disconnected. But when you make the conscious choice to use your time in ways that are aligned with your values and your purpose, you'll find yourself living a life of meaning, fulfillment, and joy. So remember, your time is precious. Don't waste it. Make it count. Every day is an opportunity to move closer to the person you're meant to be, to build the life you want, and to leave your mark on the world. Don't let it slip away. Be irreplaceable, not constant. In a world where everything seems to move at an unrelenting pace, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that constant presence equates to value. We live in an era of instant gratification, where accessibility and availability have become the norms. Whether it's at work, in relationships, or in social circles, the pressure to always be available, always be present, can feel overwhelming. But there's something much more profound about being irreplaceable than about being constant. The key to making a lasting impact, building meaningful connections, and rising to your fullest potential isn't about showing up everywhere, all the time. It's about cultivating a presence that cannot be duplicated or substituted. When you focus on being irreplaceable, you focus on what makes you unique, what makes your contributions valuable, and what makes your time worthwhile. Constant presence, on the other hand, can often be taken for granted. When people expect you to always be available, they may stop appreciating you as much as they should. It's easy to become just another figure in the background, when you're constantly showing up without thought or purpose. Then, being irreplaceable means creating a space in people's lives where your absence is felt. It's about being someone whose contributions stand out, whose perspective is unique, and whose presence adds value in ways that can't be replicated by anyone else. We often believe that being constantly present will make us indispensable to others, whether that's in a personal relationship or in a professional environment. We think that the more we show up, the more people will appreciate us, but in truth, constant availability can make you seem predictable, and even worse, expendable. People may begin to expect you to always be around, to always have time for them, to always offer your energy. In the process, they may start to take you for granted, assuming that you will always be there, no matter what. That's not the kind of relationship or impact you want to have. Instead of being just another fixture in the background, you should aim to be someone whose absence leaves a void. Someone whose presence is recognized for its distinctiveness and importance. And by being irreplaceable means that you stand out, not because you are constantly present, but because you offer something unique. You bring something to the table that others can't replicate. You may have talents, skills, and insights that no one else can provide. Your way of thinking, your creativity, and your approach to life may be something that others admire and rely on. When you're irreplaceable, you create a space where your influence is deeply felt and valued. People don't just come to you because you're always around. They come to you because they know that you offer something no one else can. The concept of being irreplaceable is also deeply tied to self-respect. When you make yourself constantly available to others, you may be undervaluing your own worth. You become so accessible that you lose the ability to set boundaries, and in doing so, you allow others to take you for granted. You risk becoming someone who is always there to meet everyone else's needs without ever prioritizing your own. Being irreplaceable, on the other hand, requires you to value yourself and your time. It means knowing when to say no, when to step back, and when to give yourself the space to grow, recharge, and focus on your own needs. This doesn't mean being selfish. It means understanding that you cannot be your best self for others if you don't take care of yourself. In professional environments, the desire to be irreplaceable often leads to respect, higher opportunities, and deeper influence. It's not about being the person who is always present in every meeting or always volunteering for every task. It's about being the person whose contributions are exceptional, whose insights and skills are needed, and whose absence. When you are irreplaceable in a work environment, people come to rely on your unique abilities, and you become the person they seek out when challenges arise. You aren't just a cog in the machine, you're the engine that keeps it running smoothly. Your absence is not just noticed, it creates a disruption because your role and your value cannot be easily replaced by someone else. In personal relationships, being irreplaceable means cultivating a sense of authenticity and depth. It's about showing up with your true self, offering your love and attention in ways that are meaningful, and being someone whose presence is truly valued. It's not about being available at all times, but about being present in the moments that truly matter. When you give others a piece of your heart, a piece of your soul, and a piece of your time, you create an irreplaceable bond. People don't just keep you around because you're always there. They keep you around because you add value to their lives, and they can't imagine a life without you. To be irreplaceable, you must focus on creating a legacy of impact. Whether it's in your career, your friendships, or your family, strive to be someone whose absence is deeply felt, not because you're always around, but because you leave a lasting impression. Make your time, your talents, and your presence count. When you choose to be irreplaceable, you choose to make a difference, not by being everywhere, but by being who you are and offering what only you can give. Don't settle for being constant. Be irreplaceable, and in doing so, you'll create a lasting legacy that others can't forget. Quality over quantity. It's a principle that applies to almost every aspect of life, yet it's one we often overlook in the rush of trying to do more, be more, and accumulate more. We live in a culture that celebrates speed and volume. We measure success by the number of tasks completed, the number of social media followers, or the amount of work we churn out. But in reality, quantity often comes at the expense of quality. The idea that more is always better is a myth that leaves us exhausted, overwhelmed, and unfulfilled. When we prioritize quality over quantity, we begin to understand that what truly matters is not how much we do, but how well we do it. Consider this in the context of our personal relationships. How many times have we felt stretched thin, trying to keep up with every social invitation, every family gathering, every call or message from a friend? In the pursuit of being constantly available to everyone, we spread ourselves too thin. We end up attending numerous events or having dozens of conversations, but none of them feel deeply fulfilling because we're not truly present. Our time and attention are divided, and as a result, the quality of our interactions diminishes. The truth is, it's better to have a few relationships that are meaningful and authentic, where you can give your full attention and care, than to have a multitude of relationships that lack depth and real connection. The same concept applies to our work. In today's fast-paced world, we're often encouraged to do as much as possible, to take on more projects, to fill every moment with activity. But this focus on quantity can lead to burnout, mistakes, and a loss of passion for what we do. When we prioritize quality over quantity, we start to understand that excellence is not about doing more, but about doing fewer things well. By dedicating more time and energy to fewer tasks, we can ensure that our work is meaningful, polished, and impactful. The pursuit of excellence doesn't require doing everything. It requires doing the right things with care and attention to detail. When you focus on quality, the work you produce will speak for itself, and its impact will be far greater than if you simply try to do everything for the sake of doing it. In our personal lives, focusing on quality over quantity can transform the way we experience the world. Take time for the activities and experiences that truly bring you joy, fulfillment, and growth. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that more is better. More trips, more hobbies, more possessions. But this constant accumulation can leave us feeling empty. The true richness of life comes from savoring the moments that matter, from immersing yourself fully in the things that make you feel alive and connected. By choosing quality experiences over quantity, you allow yourself to focus on the things that truly align with your values and bring you happiness. Whether it's spending a few hours with loved ones or pursuing a passion that excites you, it's the depth of these experiences that makes life meaningful, not the sheer number of them. When we apply the quality over quantity mindset to our health and well-being, we begin to see the importance of prioritizing self-care. It's easy to get caught up in the cycle of trying to do everything, working long hours, staying active in every social circle, and filling every minute with something productive. But when we neglect quality rest, meaningful relaxation, and mindful self-care, our energy and well-being start to suffer. Focusing on quality means taking the time to truly nourish your body and mind. It's about engaging in activities that replenish you, whether that's through exercise, meditation, or simply taking the time to unplug and recharge. Quality self-care doesn't require a lengthy to-do list. It's about being intentional with your time, focusing on the things that restore your energy and make you feel your best. 4. Furthermore, when we focus on quality over quantity, we start to appreciate the value of time itself. Time, once spent, cannot be reclaimed. Every moment is an opportunity to create something meaningful or to experience something that enriches our lives. When we rush through life, trying to pack in as many experiences as possible, we miss the richness that comes from slowing down and truly savoring the quality time, whether spent with others or alone, allows us to experience life fully and with intention. When we prioritize quality moments, we create memories that stay with us, that shape who we are, and that provide a lasting sense of fulfillment. In all areas of life, quality over quantity leads to greater satisfaction, more profound connections, and a deeper sense of purpose. It's about choosing to invest your time, energy, and attention in what matters most, rather than simply trying to accumulate more. Instead of measuring your worth by how much you do, start measuring it by how well you do it. In the end, the impact you make, the relationships you cultivate, and the life you live will be far more meaningful if you focus on quality. So remember, it's not about how much you have, how much you do, or how much you achieve. It's about the depth, the authenticity, and the excellence that you bring to everything you choose to invest in. Set boundaries, not walls. It's an idea that speaks directly to the need for balance in our relationships, work, and personal lives. In a world that often demands more of us than we can give, it's essential to recognize the importance of setting boundaries. However, there's a fine line between setting healthy boundaries and creating emotional walls that isolate us from others. Boundaries are necessary for protecting our well-being, maintaining our peace of mind, and ensuring that we have the time and energy to take care of ourselves. But when we build walls, we do so out of fear or distrust, closing ourselves off from the very connections and experiences that enrich our lives. Boundaries are the clear limits we set to protect our physical, emotional, and mental health. They are essential for preserving our energy, maintaining our sense of self, and ensuring that we don't give too much of ourselves away to others or to situations that aren't in alignment with our values. Setting boundaries doesn't mean we are shutting people out or refusing to connect. Rather, it means we are protecting our ability to show up fully in ways that are healthy and sustainable. For example, saying no to a request for your time that doesn't fit within your schedule or your priorities is a boundary that respects your own needs. It's an acknowledgement that you can't pour from an empty cup, and that it's okay to prioritize yourself when necessary. The problem arises when we confuse boundaries with walls. Walls are built from a place of fear, anger, or self-protection, often as a way to prevent pain or hurt. Walls create separation, distance, and isolation. They make it difficult for us to connect with others because we are hiding parts of ourselves behind a barrier. While boundaries are about self-respect and care, walls are often about pushing others away, whether consciously or unconsciously. They are a defense mechanism that can prevent us from experiencing true intimacy, trust, and vulnerability. Think about how many times you felt the urge to build a wall around yourself, particularly after a difficult experience, a betrayal, or a loss. It's natural to want to protect ourselves in those moments. However, walls can prevent us from healing and moving forward. Instead of offering us protection, they trap us in isolation. When we create walls, we stop others from truly seeing who we are, and in turn, we limit our ability to experience meaningful connections. We may tell ourselves that we're protecting our hearts, but in reality, we are also blocking the possibility of new relationships and opportunities for growth. Setting boundaries, on the other hand, invites others to respect who we are and what we need while still allowing us to be open and available for connection. Boundaries are a form of self-respect that communicate to others what is acceptable behavior and what isn't. They don't close us off from the world, but instead, they ensure that we engage with it in a way that is healthy and balanced. Boundaries help us to maintain a sense of autonomy while also fostering respect and understanding in our relationships. In the workplace, boundaries are just as crucial. In today's fast-paced and often over-demanding work environments, it's easy to let work take over our personal lives. We may feel the pressure to constantly be available, to always say yes to additional tasks, and to work long hours to prove our dedication. But when we fail to set boundaries, we risk burnout, stress, and resentment. Healthy boundaries at work mean knowing when to say no, setting clear expectations with colleagues, and taking time for rest and rejuvenation. Boundaries at work help us maintain our professional relationships while also respecting our personal time and mental health. In relationships, boundaries are just as vital. Whether in romantic partnerships, friendships, or family dynamics, healthy boundaries help to maintain a sense of individuality and mutual respect. When we fail to set boundaries, we may find ourselves overwhelmed, taken for granted, or feeling as though our needs are not being met. Setting boundaries in relationships doesn't mean you don't care about the other person. It means you are making it clear what you need in order to thrive. So, it means knowing when to ask for space, when to express your feelings, and when to stand up for yourself. Boundaries help ensure that relationships are built on mutual respect and understanding rather than on unhealthy patterns of giving or sacrificing too much. The key difference between boundaries and walls is the intention behind them. Boundaries are about self-respect and care, while walls are about avoidance and self-protection. Boundaries allow us to engage with the world in a way that honors our needs, while walls separate us from the world out of fear or past hurt. Setting boundaries means allowing ourselves to be open to others, while also maintaining a sense of control over what we allow into our lives. It means recognizing that we don't have to say yes to everything, that it's okay to put ourselves first, and that we are worthy of respect and care. Building walls may seem like a safe solution in the short term, but in the long run, they can leave us feeling isolated and disconnected. Instead of closing ourselves off from the world, we should focus on setting healthy boundaries that allow us to protect our well-being while still remaining open to meaningful connections. By setting boundaries, we communicate to the world that we value ourselves and our needs. And by doing so, we create the space for others to value us as well. In the end, boundaries allow us to engage with life fully without losing ourselves in the process. Respect yourself, and others will respect you. This simple but profound statement carries a deep truth that applies to every facet of life, whether in our personal relationships, professional endeavors, or the way we present ourselves in the world. We often look for respect from others, but the foundation for earning respect begins with how we treat ourselves. Respect is not something we can demand, it is something we cultivate through our actions, our self-worth, and our ability to stand firm in our values. When we show ourselves the respect we deserve, we set a powerful example for others to follow. At the core of self-respect is understanding your worth. It's about recognizing that you deserve kindness, fairness, and consideration just like anyone else. Many people struggle with self-respect, often because of insecurities or past experiences that have made them feel less than worthy. But self-respect doesn't depend on the validation of others. It comes from within. When you honor yourself, your values, and your boundaries, you are signaling to the world that you deserve to be treated with dignity. It's the first step in creating an environment where others naturally recognize and mirror that respect back to you. The way you treat yourself sets the tone for how others will treat you. If you consistently put yourself last, allow others to take advantage of you, or compromise your own values for the sake of others, you're not showing respect for yourself. When you let others dictate how you should feel or behave, you're essentially giving away your power. By contrast, when you respect yourself enough to say no when something doesn't align with your values or to stand up for your needs, you teach others how to treat you. You create a space where people are more likely to respect your boundaries, your time, and your energy. Self-respect also means being true to who you are. It's easy to fall into the trap of pretending to be someone else in order to fit in, please others, or gain approval. But this kind of behavior erodes your sense of self-worth and, in turn, prevents others from respecting you. When you pretend to be something you're not, it's impossible to maintain a sense of integrity, and others can sense this inauthenticity. Schuer thought, people are drawn to those who are genuine, who embrace their true selves without fear or hesitation. When you have the courage to be who you are, without apology or compromise, you command the respect of those around you. Authenticity fosters trust, and trust is at the foundation of respect. Another important aspect of self-respect is how you handle conflict and disagreement. It's easy to lose your sense of respect when you're challenged or criticized, but how you respond in those moments defines how much you truly respect yourself. Responding with anger, defensiveness, or allowing others to walk all over you only weakens your sense of self-worth. However, when you approach conflict with calmness, assertiveness, and a clear understanding of your values, you demonstrate that you will not allow others to disrespect you. You don't have to be confrontational to demand respect, but you must be firm in your boundaries and clear in your communication. Standing up for yourself in a respectful and composed manner shows that you respect yourself, and it sets the stage for others to respect you in return. Respecting yourself also means taking care of your physical, emotional, and mental well-being. When you prioritize your own health and happiness, you send a message to others that you value yourself. This can be as simple as setting aside time for self-care, getting enough rest, or surrounding yourself with people who uplift and support you. When you neglect your needs or allow others to treat you poorly, you're signaling to the world that you don't think you deserve better. On the other hand, when you practice self-care, engage in activities that bring you joy and nourish your body and mind, you set a standard for how others should treat you. Taking care of yourself is one of the most powerful ways to show that you respect yourself. It's also essential to recognize that respect is a two-way street. When you respect yourself, you create an environment where others can't help but respect you as well. But respect is not just about demanding it from others. It's about extending it to them as well. Respecting others' boundaries, valuing their time, listening to their perspectives, and treating them with kindness and consideration are all ways to build mutual respect. When you show others the respect you expect to receive, it creates a cycle of positivity where respect flows freely in both directions. It's through this reciprocal exchange that strong relationships are built, whether in personal life, at work, or in the community. Respecting yourself also involves taking ownership of your choices and actions. We all make mistakes, but when we take responsibility for our actions, learn from them, and make amends where necessary, we demonstrate maturity and self-respect. Blaming others, making excuses, or avoiding accountability diminishes both our own self-respect and how others perceive us. Owning up to our mistakes and striving to improve shows that we hold ourselves to high standards and are committed to growth. This level of integrity commands respect and sets an example for others. Ultimately, the foundation for earning respect lies in how we treat ourselves. When we respect ourselves, we create an aura of dignity, confidence, and authenticity that others are naturally drawn to. By setting boundaries, honoring our values, taking care of our well-being, and being accountable for our actions, we show the world that we deserve respect. And when we embody these principles in our own lives, others will begin to mirror that respect back to us. Respect is not something we can force or demand. It is something we earn through our actions, our self-awareness, and the way we choose to show up in the world. When we truly respect ourselves, we open the door for others to do the same. Don't chase, attract. In life, we often find ourselves in pursuit of things we desire, whether it's success, love, friendship, or validation. We chase after these things, believing that if we work hard enough, if we push ourselves enough, we will eventually catch them. But what if we shifted our focus from chasing to attracting? What if, instead of desperately pursuing what we want, we focused on becoming the kind of person who naturally draws those things to us? The idea of attracting instead of chasing is a mindset shift that invites ease, flow, and self-empowerment into our lives. When we chase after something, we are coming from a place of lack or need. We believe that we are not enough on our own and that what we desire is outside of ourselves. This chasing often stems from a fear of missing out, a desire to keep up with others, or a need to prove our worth. It creates an energy of desperation, and people can sense that desperation. When we are constantly chasing after something or someone, we lose sight of ourselves and can become too fixated on the outcome. Then, we may even forget to enjoy the process or to appreciate the things we already have. Chasing can leave us exhausted and disappointed, especially when we are constantly striving without seeing the results we expect. Attraction, on the other hand, is about becoming the kind of person who naturally draws in what they desire. It's about embodying the qualities and mindset that align with your goals. When we focus on attracting, we stop trying to force things into our lives and instead create the right environment for those things to come to us. For example, if you desire love, the focus shouldn't be on chasing after someone or seeking external validation. The focus should be on cultivating self-love, becoming emotionally whole, and building confidence. When you are happy and content with who you are, you will naturally attract the kind of people who appreciate and value you for who you are. This doesn't mean you won't put effort into your relationships, but the energy behind it is one of alignment rather than neediness. The law of attraction teaches us that like attracts like. If you are positive, confident, and abundant, you will attract people and situations that mirror those qualities. If you focus on being the best version of yourself, you will begin to attract the things that are meant for you, whether that's success, fulfilling relationships, or opportunities. When we stop chasing, we allow ourselves to be in the right state of mind to attract what we want. The focus becomes less about pursuing external validation and more about cultivating internal growth. The more you focus on becoming the person you want to be, the more the world will reflect that back to you. Acting instead of chasing also involves patience and trust. Chasing often comes from a place of impatience. We want things now. But when we focus on attracting, we understand that the best things in life take time. We trust that the universe, fate, or whatever you choose to believe in has a way of delivering exactly what we need at exactly the right moment. By trusting the process and being patient, we stop forcing outcomes and instead let things unfold naturally. This doesn't mean sitting back passively and waiting for things to come to us without effort. It means aligning ourselves with our desires, doing the inner work, and having faith that everything will come together in due time. To attract what you want, you must also be willing to let go of the need for control. Chasing comes from a desire to control the outcome. We think we can force things to happen, but in reality, life is unpredictable. By letting go of control and embracing the flow of life, we open ourselves up to new possibilities and experiences. Sometimes what we think we want isn't actually what's best for us, and by attracting instead of chasing, we allow life to surprise us with opportunities that we may never have imagined. When we stop trying to force our will onto the world, we open up space for new things to come into our lives. Attracting is also about cultivating an abundance mindset. Chasing often comes from a place of scarcity, where we feel that there isn't enough of what we want to go around. This mindset leads to competition, jealousy, and desperation. But when we shift to attracting, we understand that the world is abundant. There is enough success, love, and opportunity for everyone. By embracing abundance, we are no longer worried about whether we will get what we desire because we know that there is plenty to go around. This mindset shift removes the pressure and allows us to operate from a place of confidence and ease. Another key aspect of attracting is self-belief. When we chase after things, we often do so because we feel inadequate or unworthy of what we desire. We chase in an effort to prove to ourselves and others that we are enough. But attraction comes from self-belief and self-acceptance. When you believe that you are worthy of success, love, and happiness, you naturally start to attract those things into your life. Self-belief means trusting that you have everything you need within you to create the life you want. When you stop chasing and start believing in yourself, you align with your desires in a way that makes them inevitable. In the end, the key to attracting rather than chasing is to focus on becoming the best version of yourself. When you align your thoughts, actions, and energy with what you truly want, you create the right conditions for those things to come into your life. Attraction is about confidence, patience, and trust. It's about cultivating an abundance mindset, letting go of the need to control, and trusting that what you desire will come to you when the time is right. So, stop chasing and start attracting. The universe is already aligned with your desires. It's time to become the person who is ready to receive.